The vial shattered against the tile floor like a gunshot in the empty lab, shards of glass exploding outward as the chemical acrid smoke curled up like a warning. Damien's hand trembled where it hovered over the workbench, his knuckles white from the grip he'd just released, and in that split second, I saw it, the raw panic in his eyes, the kind that doesn't come from a simple spill. "Kingston," he whispered, his voice cracking like thunder rolling in from the Iowa plains outside. "You have to run. Now." It was supposed to be just another late-night grind session in the chem lab at Iowa State, the kind of ritual that had bonded us over the past semester. I'd met Damien on the first day of Organic Chemistry 331, when Professor Hargrove paired us up like some twisted game of lab roulette. He was the golden boy type, broad-shouldered from years on the Cyclones JV soccer team, with that easy Midwestern grin and sun-bleached hair that made him look like he'd stepped out of a John Mellencamp video. Me? I was Kingston Hale, the awkward transfer from Chicago, the kid with the thrift store flannels and a backpack full of dog-eared sci-fi novels, trying to outrun a family that still whispered about my phase like it was a bad haircut. We clicked immediately, him with his precise pipette work, me with my half-baked theories about molecular bonds mirroring human ones. "You're onto something, Hale," he'd say, bumping my shoulder with that laugh that lit up the fluorescent hell of the lab. Normal. Safe. The kind of normal I craved after years of hiding who I was. But normal cracked that October, when the leaves outside Ames turned the color of rust and the wind started howling like it knew secrets we didn't. We'd been pulling all-nighters for midterms, fueled by vending machine coffee and playlists of Springsteen anthems blasting from his battered phone speaker. That's when the glances lingered a beat too long, the accidental brushes of fingers over shared notebooks turning into something electric, unspoken. I'd catch him watching me while I scribbled reaction mechanisms, his hazel eyes softening in a way that made my chest ache. One evening, as we packed up under the sodium lamps, he leaned in close, too close, and murmured, "You ever feel like you're just waiting for the world to figure you out?" My heart slammed against my ribs. I wanted to say yes, to spill everything about the nights I'd lain awake in my dorm, dreaming of hands that weren't afraid to hold mine. Instead, I played it cool. "Every damn day, man." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. That was the first fracture. The tension built like pressure in a sealed flask. We'd text late into the night, not about homework, but about everything else. His messages were poetry wrapped in sarcasm. "Watched the stars from the quad tonight. Bet they're the same ones over your old Chicago skyline. Wish you were here to name 'em. Mine were clumsier, laced with that desperate hope. They're brighter here. Or maybe it's just the company. We never crossed the line. Not really. Just the weight of possibility hanging between us, heavy as the humid Iowa air. But there were signs, shadows I ignored because I didn't want to lose the one person who made this flatland college town feel like home. Like the way he'd flinch at loud noises, or how his phone would buzz incessantly during our sessions, only for him to silence it with a muttered curse. "Family stuff," he'd say, waving it off. "Nothing worth your worry." I believed him because I needed to, because in a world that still side-eyed guys like me, Damien felt like a lifeline. Then came the night that shattered it all, the one with the rain and the revelation. It was a Thursday, 2 weeks before finals, and the forecast had called for nothing but gray skies turning black. We'd planned to test our latest synthesis, a finicky compound for reducing aldehydes that Hargrove swore would make or break our grade. The lab was hours after hours, the building a ghost town save for the janitor's distant hum of a vacuum down the hall. I arrived first, shaking off the drizzle from my jacket, the scent of wet earth seeping through the cracks in the old brick walls. Damien showed up 10 minutes late, soaked through, his soccer hoodie clinging like a second skin. "Traffic," he lied, but his eyes darted to the door like he expected ghosts. We dove in, the Bunsen burner hissing to life under my hands, blue flame dancing like a promise. For a while, it was us against the molecules, laughing when the first batch foamed over, high-fiving when the spectrometer lit up green. But as the clock ticked past 11, the storm hit full force, rain lashing the windows like fists demanding entry. Thunder rattled the glass, and that's when it happened. His phone erupted, not a buzz but a relentless ring that cut through the downpour. He snatched it up, turning away, but I caught fragments. Low voices, urgent, laced with fear. "I told you I'm handling it. No, not here. Kingston doesn't know." The name hit me like ice water. My name. He hung up, shoving the phone in his pocket, but the damage was done. The vial slipped from his fingers, boom, glass and chemical fury everywhere. That's when he broke. "Kingston," he whispered, that voice cracking like thunder. "You have to run. Now." I froze, heart pounding louder than the storm. "What the hell, Damien? What's going on?" He paced, hands raking through his wet hair, the lab's shadows twisting his face into something haunted. "You don't get it. This isn't. I can't." He stopped, back to me, shoulders heaving. When he turned, there were tears mixing with the rain on his cheeks. "I'm not who you think I am." The words hung there, heavier than the humidity. I stepped over the glass shards, careful not to cut myself on the truth I sensed was coming. "Then tell me who you are. We've been through a semester of this. Late nights, bad jokes, all of it. Don't shut me out now." He laughed, bitter and broken, sliding down against the workbench until he sat on the cold floor. I joined him, our knees touching in the debris. That's when it poured out, the secret that had been eating him alive. Damien wasn't just some farm-raised Iowa kid chasing a chem degree and a spot on the team. His family. God, his family. They weren't the apple pie folks he'd sketched in stories. His dad had run with a crew out of Des Moines. Small-time but vicious. Meth labs in abandoned barns, debts that piled like snowdrifts. When Pops got pinched last spring, the fallout landed on Damien. Threats. "Pay up or we take it out on the boy," the voicemail said. He'd been siphoning cash from his scholarship fund. Running errands. Nothing violent, he swore, just deliveries to keep them off his back. But tonight they'd followed him to campus. The ring wasn't family. It was them, demanding more. "They're gonna drag me down with him, Kingston. And if they find out about us." His voice trailed off, eyes locking on mine with that raw vulnerability I'd only glimpsed in dreams. The word ignited something fierce in my chest. All those stolen moments, the unspoken pull. It wasn't just me imagining it. "About us," I echoed, my throat tight. "Damien, if there's an us, then say it. Don't let this poison it." He reached for my hand then, tentative like testing a live wire. His palm was warm against the chill, calluses from soccer balls and secret burdens rough against my skin. "I love you," he said. Simple as that. Like it was the most dangerous compound we'd ever mixed. From that first day, when you ranted about quantum entanglement like it explained the universe. But I can't. I won't let you get hurt because of my mess. Betrayal hit then, not from him but from the world that had forced this on us. How many times had I trusted too easily, only to have my queerness weaponized? Back in Chicago, it was the slurs from friends, the silence from family. Here, with Damien, I'd let myself hope for more. A quiet romance in the heartland, two guys building something real amid the cornfields. And now this. His secret wasn't a kink or a lie about who he loved. It was a noose tightening around everything we could have been. The climax crashed over us like the storm outside. Sirens wailed in the distance. Not for us, but close enough to spike our adrenaline. "They're coming," he gasped, pulling me up. We bolted for the back exit, lab coats flapping like capes in a bad superhero flick, the rain swallowing us whole as we sprinted across the quad. Mud sucked at our sneakers, lightning forking the sky like accusations. Halfway to my dorm, he shoved me into the alcove of the old Campanile Tower, his body shielding mine. "Go to the cops, Kingston. Tell them everything. But stay away from me after." "No," I snarled, grabbing his hoodie, pulling him close enough to feel his heartbeat sync with mine. "You don't get to decide that. We're in this together." He kissed me then, fierce and fleeting, tasting of salt and regret. Not soft, not sweet. Just survival, a promise pressed against the storm. When he pulled back, his eyes were steel. "I called my uncle in Chicago last week. He's got connections, clean ones. I'm leaving at dawn. Bus to the city, start over. But you deserve a life without this shadow." Dawn broke gray and unforgiving, the rain a memory in puddles that mirrored the sky. I watched from my window as his beat-up Ford pulled away, taillights fading down Lincoln Way like a bruise healing wrong. He left a note in my mailbox that afternoon. "Quantum bonds break, but the particles remember. Find your stars, Kingston. I'll find mine. Love, D. The betrayal lingered, a ghost in every empty lab stool. Every Springsteen song that now tasted like goodbye. I reported it, cops, feds, the whole machine grinding into motion. His dad got an extra decade. The crew scattered like roaches. But Damien? He vanished into the anonymity of the Windy City. A new name, a fresh start. I finished the semester alone, aced the class on autopilot, but the A felt hollow without his grin. Months turned to a year, the Heartland winters burying the pain under snowdrifts of routine. I came out, to friends, to Hargrove, even a tentative call to Mom that ended in tears but not silence. Humanized me, cracked open the walls I'd built. And Damien? Whispers reached me through mutuals. A chem tech job in a lab off Michigan Avenue. Dating a barista with tattoos and no baggage. Happy, they said. Free. One spring evening, as cherry blossoms dusted the quad like confetti, I got a postcard. No return address, just a star chart sketched on the back. Particles remember, it read. I smiled into the breeze. The ache a soft echo now, not a wound. We'd been each other's catalyst, altering trajectories in ways neither could predict. Not a fairy tale, not a tragedy. Just real, raw, American. Two boys from nowhere who loved hard enough to let go. Emerging changed, but whole. In the end, that's the humanism of it, the quiet grace in survival, the romance in release. Damien's secret didn't destroy us. It redefined us. And in the vast lab of life, that's the truest reaction of all.